Hello, everyone. Welcome to our program Consciousness in Evolution, a project from Reaprendência International. People, our objective here is to debate essential themes of conscienciology. So, feel free to ask us any question. Reaprendência is a conscienciocentric institution that is dedicated to re-education and personal growth. We bring researchers and instructors to debate with us themes such as self-re-education, parapsychism development, out-of-body experience, bioenergies, multiple lives, and other subjects that are related to self-evolution. In today's webinar, our guests are Ana Márcia Yogan from Reaprendência International and Djalma Fonseca from Conscius and Unicim. They are going to talk about ectoplasmy, symptoms and signals of ectoplasm exteriorization. We can ask you, are you an ectoplast person? Because there are at least 50 signals and symptoms that might indicate ectoplasm exteriorizations. Let's comprehend them a little bit better and see their effects in one's life and some evolutionary prioritizations of the ectoplast. So it's a very interesting subject, and we are going to get started in a minute. Let's see the entry of our program. Very well. So I'm going to introduce you our instructors today. Ana Márcia Yogan is graduated in medicine, specialized in cardiology, echocardiography, intensive care, and brief psychotherapy. She is graduated in nursing and specialized in endoscopy. Ana first knew about conscienciology in 2003 through the International Institute of Projectology and Conscienciology in Brazil. She currently lives in the USA and volunteers at Reaprendência, and is also a member of the Invisible College of the Somatology. Welcome, Ana Márcia.
Thanks for having me.
And we also have Djalma Fonseca. Djalma is a co-founder of Ectolab and Parasurgery teammate for over 7 years. Instructor Djalma will present these principles of parasurgical intervention, research of ectoplasm fields, and his personal experience in the interassistential parasurgery dynamic presented in collaboration with Ectolab. Okay, so welcome, Djalma. And you can start at any time.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a great pleasure to come back on consciousness and evolution. It's a very nice opportunity to discuss some of this, important subjects such as ectoplasmy. So you can move to the next slide, please, for us to start. All right. Would you like to introduce Reaprendência, Elaine?
Yes. So, we've been working at Reaprendência, that is a non-profit organization that is specialized in conscienciology and education. We offer classes, lectures, and a variety of educational, cultural, and scientific events to everyone that is interested in studying consciousnesses. Okay, and we also offer the teachers formation course, and these lives that are every 15 days, twice a month. We have these lives, and we study many things related to consciousness evolution, such as personal growth and development, paranormal phenomena, energetic balance, energy techniques, and that in other subjects. Okay. So I also ask you to follow us in our channel, okay, at YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Ask you to give your like if you like this lecture, okay, and if you can give it now, so that if you didn't like after that, you can erase. But I hope you like it, and it's very important that you help us in developing this work, okay. So at any time, and Ana Marcia and Djalma, we can start talking about ectoplasmy, because many people have this symptom, but they
Yes.
don't know, or they are not sure if they are having ectoplastic symptoms, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they
Yeah.
have some health issue and it's not related to ectoplasmy, or maybe they are doing exteriorization in order to assist someone that is needing energy. So let's
So
see.
that's why I'd like you guys to observe the principle of this belief, because before believing in anything, you should have your own experiences. So don't even believe in what we are saying in this webinar. You need to have your own experiences and analyze things with a critical sense. That's the most important thing in this whole presentation. Okay.
It's very good. So,
And the objectives of this presentation is, go ahead, Djalma.
no, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so the objectives of this presentation is go through some definitions and characteristics of the ectoplasm, which is the substance, the ectoplasmy, which is the phenomenon, and the ectoplast, which is the person who experiences the phenomenon. We are going to discuss several energetic signals and symptoms that are indicative of ectoplasmy, and to comprehend together the effects of this phenomenon in everyday life and reflect about this phenomenon as well.
Very important.
So we
One of
have
the things,
two
yes.
realities in our world. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, that's very important to
So these two realities
understand.
that
Go ahead. Go ahead, Marcel. Go ahead.
Mhm. Yeah, these two realities in the world are put in this way for a didactic objective. So we have the immanent energy, which is the energy dispersed in the nature, and we have a consciential energy. That's when the immanent energy is added to our consciential information. So that's how it occurs that we transform this pattern of like a clean energy into an energy that has some kind of information. And also, we need to understand the several bodies that we might use to our manifestation in this planet. So while we are in the intraphysical dimension, we have the soma, which is the physical body. When we start to manifest ourselves in the extra physical dimension, we are going to use the soma, which is the copy of the soma, but it's very subtle. It's a very um, light form of energy. And it's connected to the soma by the energetic body, which comprises the silver cord and also all the connections, energetic connections in between each cell to the para organs of notion. Because when we are going to go ahead and talk about the formation of the ectoplasm, it is formed by the energy and the physical materials that are in the interstitial space, which is the space in between the cells of our body. Okay. And furthermore, we have inside of the brains of the psychosoma, we have the mental soma, which is the mental body. which is related to ideas, okay? And whenever we go through the somatic process, which is the death process, what happens is this silver cord is disconnected, and we are going to manifest ourselves only with the psychosoma and the mental soma. This is an important notion to understand. If anybody has any doubt, please stop us anytime, and we can explain things a little better, okay? And we have several lives. So whenever we are in the intraphysical dimension, we are going to have our soma, and then we go through the process of death, and we go to the extraphysical dimension. And in this period, sometimes we have courses, and we can and plan how our next life is going to be. So in between cycles, we have the intermissive course, which is a course that we learn several subjects that are going to be important, so that we can come in, can do our existential programmation. And this goes on. We don't need to have a soma anymore. And in a point of time, we won't even need to use a psychosoma anymore. And we are going to lose these bodies. And we are going to manifest only with the mental soma. And this is what we call a free conscience. So what are the concepts related to ectoplasm? There are several concepts related to that. So Djalma can continue now?
Yes, I can continue. Yeah, as Anna was mentioning before, ectoplasm is the substance. So it's an energetic semi-material substance with viscous, milky characteristics, exteriorized by a physical consciousness, always by a physical consciousness, a conscience, retractable, sensitive to heat and light, and composed by organic cells, proteins, and electrolytes. This is what makes the physical phenomena. So this is ectoplasm, the thing. So ectoplast is the person, is the parapsychic person who produces ectoplasm and psychic phenomena. And ectoplasmy is the phenomenon of exteriorization of ectoplasm in a conscious or unconscious mode. And ectoplasty, on the other hand, is when the ectoplasm takes shape into visible tactile forms or perform any kind of phenomena related to, let's say, physical process. You may go ahead. So one thing that's very important before that, please, very important to study as well, is the thocene. Even though ectoplasm might be something natural, might be something that we do even unconsciously, the thocene itself, it's very important because it's the, let's say, it's the unity of manifestation of the consciousness. When we think of something, when we have any thought, we have a sentiment or an emotion related to this thought, and that mobilizes energy in some way. So nobody is able of thinking of something without having any kind of sentiment and generating or transforming the energy, as Anna was presenting. In this case, consciential energy. That's the consciential energy. Every time we think, we are mobilizing energy in a certain way. So to understand ectoplasmy, we need to understand both things, to how it goes in an unconscious way, and also how we let's say, manifest how we drive, how we change the energy, and in this case, the ectoplasm. Okay. Now we may go to the next one, please. Now I think it's Anna is the specialist.
Yes, a little bit. So this is a little complex to understand, but it's just to present some features of the autonomous nervous system. So why is it called autonomous? It's because it makes our life possible without our thinking process. So imagine if we had to think about when we are going to breathe, or when our heart is going to beat, or when our intestines are going to work. So for this, we have basically two systems. One is considered the sympathetic system, which is going to prepare us to fight or flight, that flight or fight response. It's going to accelerate our heart. It's going to make the blood goes to our muscles so we can fight something, or we can run from something dangerous. And when that occurs, the blood is going to go to our brain and to our muscles, and it's going to be deviated from the digestive system, so we can run away, or fight, or do something to survive. And in the other hand, we have the parasympathetic system, which prepares us to relaxation. So that is the system that is going to make your heart beat slowly. It's going to make your respiration cycle go slowly, so you are going to breathe calmly. It can also prepare your body for the digestive process. So it's going to increase the peristalsis of the intestines. It can also prepare your body to depurate the substances of your blood, and excrete toxins in your diuresis. So this is important to perceive, because most of the symptoms and signals of ectoplasmy are going to be related to the predominance of the parasympathetic system, which is this system related to mostly promoting relaxation. Okay? Go ahead now, Djalma. We have some
Yeah,
examples of energetic.
we have we have a lot of energetic signals. Most of them are very common, even though people wouldn't relate it to ectoplasmy. Of course, it happens also in other situations, not only when you're exteriorizing ectoplasm, but it's important to take into account that when some of those signals happen, you might be undergoing this kind of phenomenon of natural of exteriorization, which we call ectoplasmy, exteriorization of this substance, which is the ectoplasm. So some of them is like joint pain. Sometimes you feel, some people might think that they have some physical actual problem. I've heard of some people complaining, even though when we are older, joint pain is natural because of other reasons, right? It's not necessarily ectoplasmy. But even when we're young, or even when we are old, some of those joint pains might be because of ectoplasm exteriorization. Joint muscle ectoplasm is very much related. There are very many kinds of ectoplasm. The most common comes from the muscles. Whenever you're transforming, or the cells that are participating mainly on the exteriorization of the ectoplasm are muscular or muscle cells, then we will have the kind of ectoplasm that we call muscle ectoplasm or myo-ectoplasm. Okay? The thing is, when this happened, many symptoms related to the muscles might arise. For instance, muscular cramps. I was telling Anna that tonight many times I have muscular cramps. I used to be an athlete, and I know the feeling very very well. She was explaining to me that what I had last night were Charlie horse, which is a very
Mhm.
very strong kind of muscular cramp, very common when you do a lot of physical strain. But I wasn't. I was lying down. So if it, I wasn't, I wasn't doing any kind of strain. And what is the etiology? What is the cause, right? The physical or extra physical cause of that symptom, probably, or I know that it was ectoplasm by my experience. So I had this very strong, when you feel like it's like a knot that you feel in your muscle. It could be very strong like this, the cramps, depending on the amount that you are exteriorizing. And this was a big amount, was like a big strain for a couple of minutes. Then I felt all my body very, very contracted, like I was doing a lot of contraction, but it was natural. I wasn't doing anything. Was, as Anna was saying, the parasympathetic process, something that wasn't commended by me. I didn't make any comment on that. So I relaxed, and I just let the ectoplasm be exteriorized during that process. It's, even though it's a little painful, it's it's part of this process. So muscular pains, a little bit of joint pain. I had this also afterwards. I need to do some stretching and everything. When I woke up afterwards, I had to do some stretching because of the joint pain and the muscular cramps because of the type of ectoplasm that I was exteriorizing. But there are other types. Intestinal cramps also, like when you have some physical problem, right? Marcelo Pires was asking something very important: how to differentiate these symptoms from physical causes. The first thing that we need to do is to look for a physical explanation for it. We usually don't jump to the conclusion that it is ectoplasm right away. In general, I look for the physical cause before. The problem is that after you having a lot of experience, then beforehand, even when it's starting, because sometimes it starts with small signals. Before it gets very, very strong like this, it starts with small signals that sometimes are physical signals, sometimes are energetic signals that you're starting to go into a trance, a parapsychic trance, in which you're going to be exteriorizing those things. But this is after some experience. When you have no experience, the thing is, first thing you need to do is to see if there is no physical reason for you to be having this. For instance, if you're an athlete, you've been doing a lot of exercise, or you for some reason has done more exercise than usual, stood for a long time, walked for a long time, and those things, you might have those signals as well. And those are not necessarily ectoplasm, right? It has a physical
And
cause
another
or a
point is
physical
if you have an electrolyte imbalance,
Oh yeah.
okay? If you have an
Yes.
electrolyte imbalance, you can have muscular cramps, and it won't be ectoplasmy. And I would say the most important thing is have the principle of disbelief always applied to the experience, and try to analyze the context. Because, for instance, an electrolyte imbalance would come from a dehydration situation or some other type of physical cause. Meanwhile, the person that is having a parapsychic trance or phenomenon, the context is completely different. And Professor Djalma has a lot of experience in these dynamics where they have the fields and the parasurgery occurs, and those symptoms, they occur in this particular context. So that's how we can differentiate them.
And it's also very important. You brought up a very interesting subject because I usually take much care of my electrolytes. I drink a lot of coconut water. In Brazil, it's very common. You can get it for a small price, which is a very natural source of electrolytes. Because when you go or you undergo a lot of ectoplasm problems, you start having need of more electrolytes as well. So I usually work with that to maintain everything very very well on that sense. So even though it might not be because of that, if you actually are like you have very many sessions of ectoplasm in during the week, you will need to work on your way of, what you need to how can I say, you need to feed your body in a way, and some of the things is electrolytes.
Mhm.
So there are other ones like intestinal cramps, like rosacea. This is oh yeah, we asked something very interesting
Yeah,
about that.
rosacea is a manifestation in the skin, and several types of allergies are actually related to the ectoplasmy phenomena. It's very
Yes.
common that people that have that are ectoplasts, they have like bronchitis, they might have hives or rosacea, other types of erythema, and several types of rhinitis sometimes. The allergy process is very related to the
To
ectoplasm
the ectoplasm.
process.
Yes.
Mhm.
And Professor Rui has asked something really interesting. There is a difference on the ectoplasm exteriorized by specific parts, yes. And also it's different the kind of assistance related to each one of them. The myoectoplasm, which is the most common one that comes from the muscles, in general, they are let's say denser. They usually go to make make out a field, an energetic field where a lot of participants are together, and so a lot of people exteriorize an energy together. And in general, the kind of ectoplasm that comes there is the myoectoplasm, or the ectoplasm that comes from the muscles. And there is one type of ectoplasm that is very, it's more seldom, but it's very powerful, which is the neural ectoplasm. And this kind of ectoplasm is when you exteriorize this kind of ectoplasm, a lot of things happen to you. It's good that Rui asked that, because when you exteriorize very much of that, sometimes I need to rest for more than one day when I exteriorize a lot of neuroectoplasm. I need to some time to build back the physical energy in my body. Neuroectoplasm can change cerebral problems, more profound neurological problems in other people, but especially some kind of um, even psychiatric problems for conscience and for extraphysical consciousness as well. So when it comes to something that's more subtle and has to do with the way of thinking of the blocks that we usually on the blockage that we usually have on cerebral or paracerebral area, this ectoplasm is more subtle, is stronger, is harder when you need to exteriorize this kind of energy, and it takes a lot of toll from your own body when you do so. So you need to feedback on some of the things. You need to have a nice diet afterwards, a lot of fruit, a lot of nice things on the days coming, and sometimes resting a lot more than usual. Not only 8 hours of sleep, sometimes you need to be resting several hours because of this phenomenon. It's less common. It's less common in in situations that are very specific. It happened to me sometimes already, but it's not as common as the myoectoplasm. That is something that you might you can you relate to that very easily. One thing that happens as well is that the myoectoplasm makes hypertrophy of your muscles, just like when you make a lot of exercise. Especially chest. The chest tends to grow, and you feel like you've done some exercise, real exercise. And people always say, "Oh, so you don't need to go to the academy anymore. You don't need to do
To
physical
go to the
exercise."
gym.
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
It doesn't substitute. But these are some of the effects. And in general, if you go to the academy and you keep up your body and your muscles with a lot of strength, is better. you know it's better for the phenomenon. It's better to produce the phenomenon and to endure the phenomenon afterwards.
and there is another important point. Whenever you go to the gym, you are going to de-assimilate all the
Oh yeah.
energies that you are working. So that's a essential thing. The exercise
Energetic
is
detox.
very,
Energetic
very important.
detox. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Right, you need to do an energetic detox, and physical exercise is very important for that, because when we do assistance, or
Hmm.
in general, we assimilate, or we relate, or we connect with some not very healthy energy. So you need to keep up with the good work. Yeah, it's
Very
true
true.
about the
And we
when
have
you do
these
specific
other
kind of
things.
assistance.
Yeah, these other symptoms more related to the orifice. This is where the ectoplasma sometimes comes from. For instance, from the nose, from the mouth, that person can feel like belching or having eructation. And even sometimes you are going to hear the intestines moving, and the peristalsis is going to increase, and it makes like a lot of noise. And
Yes,
those
and
are all
sometimes goes out.
related to.
Sometimes goes out from the
Mhm.
rectum as well. It tends to go out this way as well. So don't be afraid of anything. It's common, as Anna was saying. Sometimes even makes a lot of noise. Of those peristaltic movement. I sometimes I have had this sometimes, and people, we laugh afterwards of those situations. Make a lot of noise. They say, "Well, your stomach was almost singing." something
Oh
like
yeah,
this.
it becomes like a symphony of the stomach and the intestine. It's kind
Yes,
of crazy.
yes.
And there are other symptoms too.
Oh yes, there are other symptoms. Sometimes
Some
people
people
feel
feel
cold,
cold and shivering, right?
right? Or sweating a lot, or diarrhea.
Yeah.
It's very common for people when the fuel stops. People go. A lot of people go need to go to the to the toilet because they have their a lot of their bladder really full
Completely
after
full.
minutes, or completely full after minutes sometimes of work. So it's not uncommon to have a strong acceleration of the diuresis. Or myoclonus also is interesting.
Hmm.
You have involuntary contractions, as sometimes rhythmic contractions, like you know, like this, or on the arm, or on the face, or legs, whatever muscles, or set of muscles that we that that might be undergoing the exteriorization. You feel myoclonus on that as well. I don't know, a lot of yawning. People sometimes people think that they are, you know, or they are
Tired
tired.
and bored, but it's not.
It's like you feel like you're tired, or you need to lie down or something, but you're not actually tired. You're in the process of ectoplasm exteriorization. And then the parasympathetic system makes you relax, actually start relaxing to exteriorize more. Whenever you have those signals, and you start you think that it might be ectoplasmy, a good thing to do is to actually relax. So you relax your muscles, maintain lucid. It's not to go to sleep or anything, but you just maintain your mind lucid, very active, but then try to relax the body, the muscles, you know, to calm down your breathing and everything, so you start going into a slower kind of dynamic. Then what happens is that the ectoplasmy tends to go faster, and then the process starts to settle, and and then you will see the development of the situation. Sometimes some of those signals are going to be get even stronger, but then you go on with the process. It's important not to fight back, not to
It's
try to stop or to get scared, or you
And
know
so can I add something? My experience, I'm not a super hectoplast person, but I know that sometimes in some situations, for example, in the personal energetic task, it happens. It happens, these sensations, and I know that is ectoplasmy because we've been studying and reading about it for quite a long time. And for me, what is very common is this cold feeling, even though if it's not cold outside. Foz do Iguaçu is very hot usually,
Yeah.
but I go out from Penta shivering, trembling. It's really cold, feeling really cold. And another thing that is very common with me is to feel hungry during the
Mhm.
exercise. For example, if we are in a parapsychic dynamic, I've been to ectolab, to those parasurgery dynamics, and I was super hungry. And although I had eaten before the work, during the work after 20 minutes I was starving. I think all the all the energy that was in my body was donated, and people relate that. I don't know
Hmm.
Yeah,
about you if you
usually
have
Yes, it's a
usually
anything
very common
this is
symptom.
supposed
about that.
Yes, this is a post-process symptom in general. You feel very hungry and sometimes very thirsty as well, or both. You know,
Mhm.
sometimes you need to, drink and eat, and in general, you feel like eating protein, right? Something that's stronger, not necessarily. Yes, you need protein. You need
We
something.
need protein.
Yeah, you need protein. So it's very common. I feel like that as well.
We have a question here from Jeffrey Lloyd.
Oh, Jeffrey, you're there. Hi, man. Wow.
I will read his question, okay? Hi, Djalma. Have you noticed your ectoplastic patterns change when in different geographic locations? For instance, Africa.
Very good question. Yes, in Africa, it's something completely different. You have had this experience as well. So in Africa, the the production, the process of production of ectoplasm is quite different. Some places are quite different from others, and for some reason in Africa, one that produces, for instance, uh, in a scale from 0 to 10. If you're used to produce four, if you go to Africa, you're going to produce at least twice of this. I think the environment, I think the old process, the nature, the, let's say, um, chakra situation on Earth, it all makes it quite different. In Africa, everything is stronger, faster, and more profound than here. I think because of the environment, the physical and extra physical environments in Africa. It's a lot of it's a lot of immanent energy. That energy that Anna was talking is immanent energy. It's one thing, and the other thing is the predisposition of the phenomenon. It's easier to actually do. It's not because of only of the amount of energy. There is something on the holocene, on the environment, on the elder environment, let's say like this, that's easier to trigger. So to trigger the phenomenon. I was going in and coming back many times. So this situation to me was very clear. It's unbelievable the difference. Very good question.
Very interesting. Mhm.
I think there are more energetic
And
signals, right?
mhm. The yawning and tearing are also
I think there is a gap in the internet from our
Yes.
instructors.
Yes. Okay. So let me continue here. This there is lassitude. We're talking about tiredness. Sometimes there is even extreme tiredness. You really need to lie down, or you really feel like you're going to fall asleep or something like this. Very, very strong kind of signal as well. Transient nausea. Many times you feel nauseous. And then people are gonna tell me, listen, with those signals, nobody's gonna want to be ectoplast, right? Because
It's
this no, a lot of signals are not very, very good, very nice
very
to have.
They're not
comfortable.
so pleasant.
is not very comfortable. So it's important to know that it's not very comfortable. But it's also important to understand that many times that you feel those things, you are not ill. You know, many people think that they are ill, or they start taking pills or taking things for for for
Digestion.
for digestion, for nausea, and it's not necessary. You know, you don't need to take anything for that. So don't take any pills.
Yeah, again, it's just put everything into context, right?
Right? Exactly. When you understand the
Mm-hmm.
context, you know that it's going to start and it's going to end. It's going to be a process. When the process ends, it naturally ends as well. And what comes after is exactly what Eliane was saying. A lot of hunger, many times. You need to eat something.
And sometimes you even feel like completely reinvigorated because
Exactly,
of all the energy that you exchanged.
exactly, exactly.
And
You
some
feel
phenomena are really interesting because you can almost see the ectoplasm being exteriorized from the body. There are a lot of research where they take pictures of the ectoplasm out of the nose, coming the ears, coming out of the mouth, and it's very very interesting because they can even make molds and reproduce the objects that the consciences try to create with the ectoplasm,
very true. And
right, Chalma?
yes, sometimes you see, well, like, as you're saying that you see the ectoplasm, sometimes you see the ectoplasm, and sometimes you see the conscience. You see the conscience because the ectoplasm in such a way,
Mhm.
the concept is with the psychosoma, as explained Anna, which is very subtle, and we don't usually see the psychosoma with those eyes, right? We need to we need to have some clairvoyance to see the psychosoma. But if with the ectoplasm you make it a little denser, then you need less clairvoyance. So you can go halfway this way, and they can come halfway, and then you start seeing uh, faces, or you seeing a shadow where you can actually even recognize someone physically, or you can recognize there is a presence there with you. You know.
Yes, and I wrote this comment here because I think it's important that people who are listening to us, that they know that although these symptoms are not so pleasant, they go away very fast. They are transient and
Yes,
don't do any harm to us. And
exactly.
the good part is that we are doing assistance when we are exteriorizing ectoplasm. Most of the times, it's a very assistential task.
Most of the times, we're actually helping someone very much with that. Ectoplasm is a very important fuel. We could say that's the most
Another
important
point,
fuel for assistance.
It's true.
and the other point is also that so that the phenomena occurs. So it has to be in a certain temperature, it has to be with a certain humidity, because the ectoplasm is very sensitive to heat and light. So
Yes,
whenever we are doing these experiences, all the environment has to be prepared.
perfect. The, the ideal situation is to prepare very well the environment, prepare yourself, right? Prepare yourself in a emotional, energetic, and physical way, so that you don't need to go to the bathroom, you don't need to do all those things, you can relax, you don't need to be thinking about anything else, you might be focused on what you're doing. So all those things predispose a condition, a better condition to produce ectoplasmy, and to produce ectoplastic phenomenon. Oh, there are other energetic signals. Cough is very common. When many times we have this field and people start coughing, and they say, "Oh my, I didn't feel anything before, but I think I'm catching a cold." And then when the field finishes, cough goes away. So it's on the process of exteriorizing, specifically through the aerial, process coming from the lungs, the bron- bronx that we say, the bronx,
The
and this area,
throat,
the throat. So
yeah,
then you feel
the
it. You feel
bronchi and
itching. You feel
the
itching. You
mhm.
feel sometimes a little pain, and you feel the urge to cough. Very common. Globals, that situation of you feel the throat filled with something. It feels like there is something, a mass or something inside your
It's like
throat.
you have
What
an strange body inside your throat.
inside your
The
throat?
globus sensation. Have a yes,
Burning eyes. Yes, Marcelo. Burning
and
eyes.
tinnitus
It's
is
very
when
common
you
as
fight
well.
your ear. Hmm.
Yeah, tinnitus is those many people, complain about this kind of thing, but it's common also on let's say ectoplasm. Marcelo was asking about burning eyes. Yes, burning eyes, many times you tearing. People are crying but not actually crying, right? So tearing, tearing, you feel like your eyes are burning, or your eyes. Sometimes it's a burning process. Sometimes it's just you have a lot of water coming out of your eyes, and you don't know why.
Coming out.
Sometimes it's itchy. It's coming out, yeah, and sometimes it's itchy also, and you feel like it's itching your eyes or your ears. Whenever you're exteriorizing ectoplasm, it's you undergo some itch. That's why um, this allergic process of the ectoplast is common as well, because we're very sensitive with small things, and because of this process of exteriorization, small things in the air, a difference of funds and stuff, forget it. The reaction is stronger with people that are ectoplasts for some reason.
And
It
there is
has to
an
do, I think, with the
example that you
immune
guys
system.
even perceive the duration, which is the
Yeah,
electrical interference in electronic appliances. The gaps and the all the times that we are trying to say things and we have like interference, they are not working
interference.
perfectly. Those are very common occurrences with ectoplast people,
Yes, not only sometimes
right?
we feel the interference on us, and sometimes we interfere on the electronics also. They stop functioning all of a sudden, then they go back functioning as well. Sometimes stop, sometimes they work. It One of the things that are very problematic with ectoplasts is printers.
Printers.
Printers, are very sensitive to ectoplasm.
Have you read about people who are ectoplast and they interfere in the pacemaker of people?
Yes, yes, yes.
Mhm.
The pacemaker. Yeah, the pacemaker. Yeah, sometimes it does.
It does.
Yeah, it's prob
Yeah, in the
sometimes
past, uh,
you see some of the
in the past,
ectoplasts.
people even tried to use this kind of people that produces physical phenomena to interfere during the cold because they would, be able to retrieve codes and to
Yes,
interfere with other people. There are several experiments that were developed both by the Americans and the Russians as well.
exactly. In the
Mhm.
past, they have been researching a lot on those subjects as well. One of the things that I noticed as well is cell phone batteries. A lot of ectoplasts, cell phone batteries last shorter than others. You know, it's very common to happen that
Mhm.
two people buy the cell phone on the same day, and then they start using the ectoplast cell phone in general. Battery will die first. Batteries and ectoplasm, they don't work very much together. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I have
Even
this
if,
experience.
Djalma, even if the ectoplast is balanced,
Even
is
if the
And
ectoplasm,
good friends.
emotionally balanced,
let
with
me
with exercise done.
remember Professor Waldo, right? I many times tried to discover a good microphone for Professor Waldo. Almost impossible. Very hard task to find a good microphone to him. Especially if it's batteries microphone. Forget it. Batteries microphone, batteries in Professor Waldo. Forget it.
Didn't.
In the middle of the thing, batteries die. Poof, all of a sudden, you know, and everything stops, and then you need to change. So no batteries. Let's do with common microphone. But some microphone are very sensitive to active. The best microphones that are very sensitive are also very sensitive to ectoplasm. So it's hard situation with them. Remember, in the
It's
Tertuliario, we
very,
tried
very hard.
many different kinds of microphones until we find one that actually endured Professor Wall.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So, Djalma and Ana Marcia, I think we have time for one slide more so that you can conclude because we are near the end.
All
Okay.
right.
This slide is super important to close this live about ectoplasmy because it's going to talk about how the ectoplast people can deal with that and what could be the priorities for them to accomplish their praxis.
Yes, the important thing about ectoplasmy is that it's very important for assistance, for interassistance, which means whenever we do assistance, we receive assistance as well. So that's what we call interassistance. Whenever we're helping people, we're also being helped by the helpers in general, by this mechanism of helping. And that comes together with the volunteer work. Working voluntarily, sometimes we need to be, it looks like we're doing just administrative things or we're doing things that are not very relevant, but behind the scenes, we're usually doing a lot of interexistential work with the conscience involved, with the conscience involved. Besides that, on lucid projections, it's very important. Ectoplasm, it has to do with reurbanization, if you have heard of that. If you haven't, you need to do some research to look into reaprendencia or other ICs and see those things. And today, Eliane talked about Penta, which is the personal energetic task. Very important, lifetime kind of a task, of a responsibility. Yet you do every day. There is a manual on that. If you want to know more, you can read the Penta manual and understand that we can have at least 1 hour of our day dedicated mainly and completely to with your helper, extra physical helper, to doing interassistance. So those might even help the somatic, or might even help with parasurgery. Parasurgery is also something that is very, very, let's say, interassistential, either for conscience or conscience. If you want to know more about that, you can look at Ectolab. Ectolab has a dynamics of parasurgery, very, very interesting. You can participate, or if you need to something for you, there is the parapsychic dynamics of Ectolab. Or if you need something, or if you need some kind of parasurgery for yourself or for someone of your family or some of your friends, you may make a, a request, a parasurgery request on this site that is being there on Ectolab site. Okay, so that you wanna some of the references, very important to read. The Projectiology is a very important book on projection, and the 700 Conscienciology Experiments are the two main basic books behind all we discussed today in the presentation.
Very good. So, people, I would like to thank you all for participating in our live today, and thanks a lot to our teachers, our instructors, Djalma and Ana Marcia. It was really great to be here with you discussing these themes that I think that are very important, because people should de-dramatize the process of using this more dense energy to do assistance, interassistance, as Djalma was saying to us. Okay, so very good. I would like to invite you to subscribe in our channel and follow us in Reaprendência International at YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook. And we will keep you updated about our future courses and free webinars. Also, people, I would like to remind you that we are entering in vacation now, in holidays, and we'll be coming back next year on January 8th on a Sunday, and we will have a live that will be in Portuguese with instructors Ana Marcia Yogan, Ligia Decker, Nájila Campiotti, Anne Catherine, and Ana Zúcaro. This live is going to be about the course Fundamentos da Conscienciologia, that is the Fundamentals of Consciousness Evolution. But it is a group that is organized